Well, I skipped yesterday, as I suggested I might on Sunday, and I'm glad I did, because there was a mass shooting late yesterday, and I probably would have talked about it yesterday had I recorded anything, but just like with all these shootings, we know a lot more on day 2 than we do at day 1, especially when this occurs, in the afternoon. It's not like it occurred at 9 a.m. in the morning, and we had all day to learn about this guy. There has been a lot of information that's come out about the shooter, and a lot of it has already been scrubbed. This guy Crabcrawler on Twitter, he does a lot of threads on things like Hunter Biden and people like this shooter. As news is breaking, he does a thread, I think, every day on the war in Ukraine. And there have been people like Crabcrawler from time to time who pop up. They usually end up getting banned eventually, and then another person like them pops up. And Crabcrawler's thread on this shooting was taken down almost entirely by Twitter, because he was reposting the videos that this shooter had put up himself on YouTube, because we all know Google was going to scrub this guy's page. And all the social media accounts of all these shooters get scrubbed almost immediately after the shooting occurs, because the authorities in the social media companies don't want people to learn about these shooters. People want them to be kind of blank slates, or I should say powerful people want them to be kind of blank slates so that the powerful can craft whatever narrative they want about them. And there have been people going back and forth saying, oh, this guy, he's an antifa goon, he shot up for 4th of July, obviously he hates America, and votes Democrat and all these things. And look at him, just look at him, he has that body type. He's super skinny, super pale, has weird tattoos, and blue hair. So that's what we were hearing from the right. The left has been saying, well, look, he was photographed wearing a Trump flag, and some Trump supporters said, oh, that's a Trump for prison flag, and you can see, I'd have to zoom in on the picture and do some analysis, but I determined that is not a Trump for prison flag. And he was also photographed by himself and by others at least one Trump rally, if not more than one Trump rally. And he was dressed as Where's Waldo, which is very strange. But this guy appears to have been a very strange, psychotic person. So it shouldn't be that odd for him to be in a costume at a Trump rally like that and to be as Where's Waldo when he's in a crowd. It just kind of sounds like, he was trolling. And a lot of what he posted was irony. Like, he tweeted out, I'm a product of MK Ultra, I'm a liberal. And a lot of Trump supporters are taking this seriously and saying, look, he even said it himself, he's a product of MK Ultra and he's a liberal. And it's like, if you're a product of MK Ultra, which that exact program doesn't exist anymore, but certainly plenty of things similar to it, a lot worse than MK Ultra, still exist these days. If you were a product of MK Ultra, you wouldn't know what MK Ultra is. You wouldn't say that. You would just be it. Products of MK Ultra were not self-aware. They were just they were manipulated, crazy lab experiments. And so clearly, this guy was an irony bro, and he took it too far, because he was just that crazy. That's the way it looks to me. I can't take his supposedly pro-Trump content, meaning the one picture of him wearing a Trump flag as a cape, and then the other pictures of him dressed as Where's Waldo in a crowd at a Trump rally out on the streets. I mean, the Where's Waldo thing just seems like he's playing a joke, because he went in a crowd and he dressed up as Waldo. I don't think that's not how I would expect a Trump supporter to declare his allegiance. Likewise, I would not expect a liberal product of MK Ultra to proclaim himself as such. People are saying, oh, his dad was a gun-loving, crazy Trump supporter, and he even ran for mayor of their town, this town where the shooting took place. And you look it up, and it's like, okay, yeah, this guy did run for mayor, I guess, of their town, but he ran as a Democrat. Seems a little odd, because they were making the case that, oh, this guy, he was raised in a crazy, far-right household, and he was raised in an environment of hate, and so he grew up to become a mass shooter, just like all Trumplican children. Then we had this victim of the shooting. I guess she was an 18-year-old, based on what she said. She said, "Oh, I felt safe at this 4th of July parade for 18 years. Nothing ever changes in America." I mean, it seemed to be some vague, call for gun control or something like that, even though they're in Illinois. Illinois, in case you haven't noticed, not a red state, especially around Chicago, where this shooting took place. I don't know if Highland Park itself, is necessarily a majority red or blue city. It is a suburb of Chicago, so it's possible that, it's a Republican-leaning community. But anyway, what this girl said is not the point. What happened here is that under her tweet, where she posted a picture of herself with a gunshot wound, she had a graze on her cheek, and there was, blood all over her face. Some blue check came in and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry what happened to you. Please make sure you register to vote and make sure all your friends do too." I mean, it's like these people are NPCs. There's no other way to describe it. The girl posts a picture of herself with a gunshot wound. And the blue check response is to make sure you vote Democrat harder this fall. Make sure you, in Illinois, make sure you vote Democrat so this doesn't happen again. As if Illinois is not one of the bluest states in the country. I mean, how many elected officials, how many more can they elect from Illinois that are Democrat? I mean, what, maybe the local county sheriff, wherever they were. I'm sure they weren't in Cook County. Maybe the county sheriff in this Chicago suburb, maybe he's a Republican, and if we just get rid of him, then there will never be another shooting again. I mean, there's just the people. There's no rational thought left in this country. America is a fundamentally unserious country full of unserious people. Oh, so now let me get to the latest information. We're over 7 minutes in now. Maybe I should have opened with this. But the shooter, it turns out, was wearing women's clothing during the shooting. This Trumplican, this typical Trumplican, with face tattoos, blue hair, and the body of Slenderman, minus, maybe 2 feet of height, was wearing women's clothing. We're told as a disguise. Why do the police assume it was a disguise? How do we know he didn't just identify that way? How do we know that he identified with any gender at all? He could be non-binary. I hear that's very trendy amongst kids his age, even though he's only slightly younger than me. But I have to say, the people who are like 2 to 4 years younger than me, it feels like a completely different generation. I can't relate to them at all. Maybe it's because when I was in school, I had friends who were my age. I had friends who were older than me, but I didn't really have any friends who were younger than me, at least once I got into high school. But these kids, who are, again, even 5 years younger than me, I have no connection with them at all, culturally, it feels like. I mean, really, I feel like an old man. So I'm dead serious when I say, how do we know that this whippersnapper wasn't a non-binary? Why are the police assuming that he wore these women's clothing as a disguise? I mean, he could be a full-blown woman, as we learned. So yeah, do I think that this guy was a Trump supporter? Probably not. Do I think that he was an antifa shooter out, trying to sabotage the 4th of July? No, I haven't seen anything of the sort. There was a fake, DSA tattoo going around, and I think there might have also been some other stuff that was real. But again, I watched this guy's music video, which also has been taken down from Twitter. I can't link to anything, because Twitter was flagging anybody who linked to his videos. So I don't even know if they're still up on YouTube. Probably not at this point. So I don't know where to tell you to go to look for this stuff. It's kind of, even the Internet Archive, I believe, is trying to erase this guy. But he had this crazy music video where he had, MS Paint drawings of him shooting people, and they looked like things that mentally disturbed elementary school kids draw, when they go to see their psychologist, or even when they're just, in the classroom and they're doodling and they draw themselves, murdering their classmates. And it's really what this kid looked like to me. It looked like someone who was nuts, probably did not have a lot, good friends in school. Probably was picked on lots, that old story. But hey, it still exists. No matter how much, the left likes to tell white boys that they're useless and they don't matter. They do still have feelings, and maybe he snapped. And I don't mean he snapped like in a white over like white male grievances or something like that. I just mean, kid might have had some problems, and because white boys are not particularly valued, those problems, maybe they festered more than they otherwise would have if he were a girl. Maybe that's why he wanted to pretend to be a girl. I can play armchair psychologist all I want, because I don't think we're going to get any more information on him. I think that the amount of information we got was capped, and the information's being erased. So this is all we have to go on. So all in all, my conclusion in this situation is that this was a crazy young guy, had issues, and probably wanted attention based on his really weird and edgy music videos, which had some very strange creative choices, put it that way. And so maybe he saw, hey, these mass shooters seem to have a lot of fame. They seem pretty well known. And so I guess I'll add my name to their ranks. And, that's probably about my easiest ticket to fame. I mean, a lot of people have talked about, the copycat effect. And, and as far as the media giving a lot of attention to these shooters personally. And I don't think I've seen a better example where that might apply than this kid. He seems like someone who would really be into trying to get that kind of attention. He's more famous now as a shooter than he ever was as a rapper. So, with that said, I will see you folks back here tomorrow.